You'll be the life of the party.
Huh, huh, yeah, yeah. Well, alright. Huh, where you from, courage? Tell them why die. A location where dangers hanging, ain't got crime watch. And if you close, 10 seconds could get you 9 shots. I ain't talking about the flu, where you from, courage? Tell them why die. A location where dangers hanging, ain't got crime watch. And if you close, 10 seconds could get you 9 shots. And I ain't talking about the flu. People try to get away, they take a train or flew. But no amount of distance change the pain that you've been through. You take yourself up out the dot, can't take the dot up out of you. I'm trying to change my shoes, they don't fit cause they've been used. Yeah.
What's up with it, man? I'm back. It's me, it's you, it's the latter. I'm so glad to be with you today. It's just me and you. So that means we're going to have tons of conversation. Remember, if you like it, hit thumbs up. If you love it, hit subscribe. And doing more, turn your notification bells on. Now that we got that out the way, let's jump into our content for today. I think that we could all admit that right now it's a little crazy, right? Like everything going on around the world. I don't think I've ever experienced things outside this year that have affected the entire world, right? So the first thing that really was global for me was Kobe Bryant's death. Kobe, I did a Motivation Monday on it. Kobe was a hero of mine, and I felt it. But then I looked up, and people in China were feeling it. Some of my friends in Lithuania and Poland and Ukraine, they were feeling the same things, and I was interested to just see something that could happen that could affect the whole world. And then the coronavirus came and was like, Kobe, I'll show you world effect. And man, I'm talking about around the world, places are locked down, businesses are closing, gyms are all closed. All my friends who hoop, they are struggling just like I am because there's no gyms, nowhere to play ball, nowhere to work out. So everybody doing home workouts, or outdoor workouts. It's been a different time, right? I think that one of the biggest things for me is that it's reminded me that trading time for money is not it's not ideal. In the fact that the reason that it's not ideal is because there are things that can disrupt your time that you can't control. And so what I mean by that is like this virus. Like, you can't go to work because a lot of places of work are closed down. And what that means is that your time is now longer not worth money because you can't give it. You follow me, track with me. Come on, we're gonna work today. I got some notes. You know what I'm saying? I got my notebook. I got some notes. We're gonna go to work today. All right. I hope you walk with me. It's gonna be a good one. But so what I'm saying is, like, the wealthy, they don't trade time for money. They trade skill, they trade talent, they trade knowledge, they trade resources for money. And so what I mean by that is, one of my favorite quotes by Warren Buffett. I'm sorry, I was thinking Bill Gates. Warren Buffett is, I'm always reading, and when I cannot read, I'm finding ways to clear my schedule up so that I can read more. And what that quote means to me is, one, the importance of reading, but I think if you're on any journey of success, you should already know that. And if you don't, that'd be your first step, is find you a book and start reading. Reading is a resource, right? But even beyond reading, what that tells me is that Warren Buffett is not worried about spending too much time not working. Okay, you tracking with me, right? He's extremely wealthy, and most people would believe that he's wealthy because he works all the time. Well, he talks about his wealth comes from his knowledge and that ability to translate that knowledge into money, into income. And so by reading, he increases his knowledge basin, right? And so there are now more people that he can consult. There are now more people that will pay him from more industries to ask his opinion, to get consultation, right? And now his knowledge has become a resource that can continuously be tapped. See, that's the difference between time and knowledge, or skill and talents, right? when you trade your time, so say you go give 8 hours to your job, you cannot give that 8 hours again. So the next day you got to give a whole new 8 hours, right? But when you learn something and you have a knowledge or you have a skill or a talent, you can give that over and over and over and over again, because it doesn't run out. Like, you can't run low. Does that make sense? We working. Okay. I'm gonna stop asking, does that make sense? Because y'all are smart. All right. So the knowledge that you have becomes an unlimited resource for you to get income. And so if you're highly knowledgeable about makeup, right? And people ask you to do their makeup, you can do that over and over and over again because that's your knowledge. Or even now we're in a stay-at-home order. How can you me and my homie say we twerk that thing? How can you twerk that knowledge of makeup right now and you can't go anywhere? Well, you do tutorials. Like makeup does numbers on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch. Not Twitch, TikTok, Facebook even. It is one of the best ways to build a brand on social media. And you can do virtual consultations. So you can walk young ladies through, hey, this is like virtually FaceTime. This is now do your foundation. All right, just a little bit, don't apply too much. Okay, put some more. Like, you could do that, right? And you could do that all day long, and you never lose that knowledge because you've done it. Matter of fact, you'll get better. The more you do it, the better you get. That's not how time for money works, right? It doesn't work that way. And see, here's how they trick us, right? Is as we trade time for money, we actually do get better at our job. We do gain knowledge. We do gain talents and abilities and skills, but we're not compensated for that new knowledge and new ability and skill in a way that is profitable to us. Does that make sense? Every time your business gives you a raise as an employee, they're not giving you as much as they could, because that's what business is about. A business is about getting out as little money as you can while you make as much money as you can. And so any notion that your boss is doing anything other than that is not true. And in fact, if they were, they probably wouldn't be in business long. Okay, does that make sense? I asked it again. So the boss, there are bosses that do that. They give fair wages. This is what you're worth, right? But at the same time, they can't give you what your true market value is. If it was freedom of movement, open market completely, your value would be, say, you're a great teacher. Because I think teachers are the best example of this. You're a great teacher. The market value for a great teacher right now is probably, if we just said pure market value, what you're worth to a school or to a district or to a college institution, you're probably worth $1 million. Just say $1 million. That's an easy amount. Let's not even say, let's say $1 million. All right, let's go collegiate level. You're worth $1 million because if you're in our science program, we'll get grants, we'll get nominated for best schools, we'll get papers written about us. So you bring so much. Your market value is dumb high, because if you're here, this is what will follow. People will want to come here because they want to study under you, and so you're worth $1 million. Well, what the college has to do is, how can we pay you $450,000, right? And so they do that by comparing you to other people in your department. They do it by comparing you to other people around the world. They do it by giving you benefits, a benefit package that does not equal your total value, right? That's the way they're able to shrink what you're worth and to give you something that you still would be happy with, right? $450,000 is a lot of money, but it's not what you could actually make. And so I want to talk about this week, I want to talk about why we work the way we do, right? What's the foundation for our work week, our schedules, and I want to talk about how we can break out of that if you want to. Like, some people are cool. They enjoy the work week. They work and they love the weekends and they work again. And that's what they want, and that's okay. I'm not knocking that. That's just not for me. And so a lot of people tuning into the latter are not like me, okay? So if you're working the 40-hour work week and you're cool, I'm not knocking you, okay? I just want to put that out there. Please still like, subscribe, and hit the notification bells, okay? Because we still will have content for you, and we love you. And even this might just give you more of a foundation for what you're doing, okay? So let's get into it. All right, I got my notes. All right, so the 40-hour work week was actually founded by Henry Ford, okay, in 1926. So this is 94 years ago. Henry Ford kind of cemented this 40-hour work week, and the origin of the 8-hour days actually comes from Robert Owens, who was a Welsh labor leader in 1817. So we're talking about 203 years ago. This is the guy that lived 203 years ago, came up with this ideal, and it was 8 hours of rest, 8 hours of labor, 8 hours of recreation. And so he came up with this idea. We got 24 hours. Let's split it evenly between those three. Well, there are problems with this, okay? Everybody doesn't have the same lifestyle. So what I mean by that is I don't have kids, right? So my 8 hours of recreation, my 8 hours of sleep are a lot different than someone who might have small children, right? Or someone who might have might be taking care of an elderly parent or grandparent, right? Their 8 hours of recreation look completely different. Their 8 hours of rest look different, right? My friends who have infants, they tell me all the time, you wait till you have a baby, you not gonna sleep, right? They tell me that all the time. And so the issues with this is like, on the surface, it might appear like, yeah, that makes sense, 24 hours a day, but it also is an employee mindset. And so what I mean by that is that he's saying give 8 hours a day to your job. And so what he was, Robert Owens was, he was trying to reform the industrial age in Europe. And so he was trying to reform industry and how they treated laborers in Europe. And so they were working 12, 14, 16-hour days because they were running businesses like apprenticeships. And so if you're an apprentice, you just go chill with your teacher for 12, 14, 16-hour days, and that's nothing, because you sleep and then you go learn your craft. And you're doing that so that you can work for a living, or so that you can eventually make a living doing this. Well, when the industrial age started, you weren't actually learning something that you could go and recreate for yourself. And so apprenticeship actually teaches entrepreneurship, which we will get to as the goal. But so they moved from apprentices to employees, but they were using the same concepts, and they were not paying them a lot, because you don't have to pay an apprentice a lot. Why? Because you're giving him a lifelong skill. And so I don't pay you in money, I'm paying you in knowledge and skill and ability. There we go again. You see what I'm saying? We getting there. But with employees, I pay you money. And so you trade your time for money. And they were giving them so little money, but making them work the same amount of time. And people were like, hey, this ain't working for us. This ain't working for us. And so Robert Owens was one of the leaders in saying, hey, how about this? And it made sense to them at the time, but they ignored them. And so it wasn't until 1926, like I said, 94 years ago, that Henry Ford was studying, and he decided, like, this will be better for my employees. And remember, this wasn't a law or anything at the time, but he shortened the days they were working 6 days a week. A lot of people working 7 days a week. He shortened it to 5, and he shortened the hours from 12 to 8. Okay, so in doing that, he was an industry leader. People applauded him and they thought he was crazy, and but this also the way he was able to get his huge market share early on is because people wanted to work for Ford, because he cut the hours but he kept the pay. And so people that were working in factories and things around the country were having to work more for the same amount of money that the people were that were working at Ford factories. Okay, and then the hours. So you think 8 hours a day. Why 9 to 5? Well, Henry Ford just came up with that, and he decided that would work best for his company to get the most production out of his workers. Okay, and everybody else just copied. And so what you got to understand a lot of times too is when you're in business industries and you're studying companies, they're copycats. And what that means is, if some company's doing something and it's working for them, other companies just do it. They don't ask no questions. They don't They don't do any research. They say, hey, this company's doing it. They're the most successful company in our industry. We need to do this. And they just apply it to their company. Well, so everybody did that around the country, and so now that's a standard, 40-hour work week, 9 to 5. And it's something that was created in a factory in 1926, right? And so what we got to understand about that is, what's so interesting about that is there is not a lot of people that are still working in factories. Yes, that is still an industry, but even so, my friends that work in factories don't work 9 to 5. They work 12-hour shifts and they work 3 days a week, right? They doing 10s, 4 days a week. But so they're not. So the industry that came up with it, they're not even sticking to this. They found out, well, that doesn't really work for our employees. Let's adjust and let's do this, right? They've made that shift, while the rest of the world is saying, hey, we're not changing. We do 9 to 5. That's what we do. And so it's so interesting if you look at it, like these parameters for work were not created for us. They're created for people that worked in factories in 1920s. And the industry that came up with it has learned that this is not for us, and they've changed, while many of our companies have not. They have not adjusted. They have not shifted to make a work environment that is more amicable for their employees. And the reason being is they don't have to, right? You got to understand that. Businesses are all about maximizing their profit margin. So if I can maximize the work I get from you and minimize how much I have to pay you, I'm doing good business. You find like that is the whole goal of all business, of all companies, right? And so I was reading something that was interesting, and it was like that the Great Depression. So we were talking about this 8-8-8. So 8 rest, 8 work, 8 recreation. And it was talking about how the Great Depression, the stock market crash was a part of it. But the real reason that the country was hurt so bad during the Great Depression is people stopped spending money. And so what that looks like is everybody works and they get paid and they go home. And so these industries that are built on consumerism, as capitalism is all built on the notion that people are natural consumers and they want to consume, they want to use their resources from work to consume things. And so when consumerism fails, capitalism fails. And that's what the Great Depression was. That's why stock prices dropped, is because businesses weren't able to sell things. If you weren't doing business to business, if that wasn't your model, B2B, and you were doing and you were serving customers, right? Your business failed during the Great Depression because people weren't going to shop. People were getting their money, they was putting in shoe boxes underneath their beds, and they were saying, yo, that's it. That's what, I don't need no money for nothing. We got food, we got clothes, I'm going to work, I'm putting my money underneath my bed. And so all these other industries shut down. If you notice, right now, they are doing everything to try to keep that from happening. Even as this pandemic sweeps our nation, and we know we're not supposed to leave our houses, we're not supposed to congregate, we're not supposed to be out and about. They are, every county, city, state that is around is trying to find ways to give small businesses loans. The government already said they're going to bail out the airline industry. They're going to bail out cruise industry. They're going to bail out hotels and things like that. They're going to give money to keep these industries alive, because as people stop spending money, these industries die, because these are extra things. That makes sense. In a capitalism society, it creates the opportunity for excess. And so like hotel stays are excess, right? Flying places are excess. Going on a cruise is excess. That's what you do when you have excess money. And so when in a time where people are not making money because companies are shutting down, people are closing their excess money, right? And then travel shut down too. So a lot of these travel industries are done. I was talking to one of my friends, and they had a trip booked to go on their honeymoon, and the travel companies closed down. I was like, y'all see what's going on? We done. We can't work. We don't got no money. Bye. And that was it. That was it. They didn't give them their money back, nothing. It was like, we're gone. Good luck. And so I say all that to say that as an employee, you're a victim to, or not a victim, you are, you make yourself susceptible to things that are outside of your control. Okay? We are at the mercy of our employers. We're at the mercy of our government. We're at the mercy of other consumers, right? All that plays a role in, do we get our 2-week check? And don't get me wrong, the stability of a 9 to 5 is lovely. Every 2 weeks, your check clears. That's beautiful, right? I'm not knocking that at all. I can't wait for direct deposit to hit. I'm not against direct deposit at all. But what I am saying is we have to have some forms of entrepreneurship. And this is how I know that. Every company you work for was started by an entrepreneur. Everything. The hospitals, the schools, the businesses, the companies, they all were started by entrepreneurs. Somebody looked at our world and was like, hey, this is something we're missing. I have an ideal. I'll trade that for wealth. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. I think a lot of people don't understand that entrepreneurship is all about trading creativity and ideals for resources, mainly money or land or influence, okay? And so for an entrepreneur, for a worker, time is their currency. For an employee, time is their currency. You cannot get paid more than you have time to give. And so even if you work overtime, you're still getting paid for your time. You're just giving more time and they give you more money, right? But for an entrepreneur, creativity and ideals are their currency. And they use those to purchase resources. And they actually use those to purchase time. Come on now. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing well, what are you able to do? You're able to take more time for your family. You're able to take more time for your hobbies. Donald Trump is a perfect example. He's a president. What is he doing a lot of the days before coronavirus? He was golfing. Why? Because his influence bought him the time to go golf. Okay? It's the same thing for Michael Jordan used to golf all the time. Stephen Curry golfs all the time. Why? Because his creativity, his creativity as a basketball player, his ideals, his business sense, he's a venture capitalist and does a lot off the court. That has bought him time to spend with his family. I'm loving watching him and Aisha during this time. They just kicking and hanging out with his family. And is he bored? Probably. A lot of people are bored, right? But he's not worried about if he's going to be able to pay his bills. He's not worried about if he's going to be able to find a job and things clear, because he has a skill set that has purchased him enough resources that he can survive things like this, right? And one thing that also creativity and ideals allow you to do is they allow you to diversify. And what that means is you don't have one place where you get your income from. And why is this so important? This is so important in times like this, when you might say you work for a non-essential company. Well, if that's where you get all your income from and they're shut down, then you don't have any way to maintain your lifestyle. But if you have, so you can still work for the non-essential company, but if you have an income stream that comes from something else, it could be another essential company, which I disagree with, or, I mean, if you have two jobs, you have 2 jobs. Do your thing, you a hustler, go get your money. But what's more ideal is you have a passive source of income where you don't have to show up, where you don't have to clock in, but you get paid. So that could be real estate, it could be stocks, it could be an online course you're teaching. It could be YouTube, it could be, it could be brand deals, it could be anything like that. Forex trading, things that you make money on, and affiliate marketing, things that you can make money on that you don't necessarily have to clock in and clock out, right? And so your physical presence is not necessary for you to have income. And so the ideal way and so Justin, I get you. I want passive income. I understand that, but I don't have time to wait for that to build. Perfect, that's fine. So do both. And this is what I'm saying. Don't be so tired when you leave your 9 to 5 that you're not able to work on things that exist outside of it. And so you have more than 8 hours of creativity. You have more than 8 hours of ideals. You have more than 8 hours of knowledge. And so don't cheat yourself by going home and turning that stuff off. Don't only give that to your employer. Give that to yourself too. Give yourself a chance to build income outside of your your workplace, because that allows you freedom. And that freedom is necessary because it gives you the ability to do things that you want to do. Like, one of the most interesting things about work is, like, you got to request off. And this is just interesting. This has always been interesting to me, even when I worked a 9 to 5. It was like, hey, I'm not going to be coming in to work today. And they were like, wait a minute, you can't take off. You have to come to work. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have to? Like, that word, that, I don't know. Everybody don't feel this way. But for me, that's like a knife to my soul. Like, I have to? Now, you might want me to. I might have to suffer consequences for not. But for you to say I have to, that's just not, that don't work for me. You can strongly suggest and say, hey, Justin, if you don't come to work, you're fired. That's fine. That's fair. That's in your realm of responsibility. But for you to be like, no, you have to come to work. We need you. Yeah, I'm telling you I'm not coming. So that's it. But like, if you do have other income, right, that allows you much more to be like that. Now, when you like, yo, I got to go to work because they're going to fire me. And if I get fired, I can't pay my bills this week. Then you got to go to work. You don't have that freedom. But some days you might just not feel like it. Like, you might like, bro, I want to spend time with my wife, or I want to spend time with my kids today, or I want to go see my parent, or I want to take a day off. I've been working nonstop for months. I don't want to come today. And that passive income lets you say, hey, you know, like, and this is one thing they do in some places with unions, because they can't fire you. It's just like, all right, you just don't get paid. Well, that's fine, because I got stocks that have went up. I got some Forex going, some affiliate marketing stuff. I've been doing some stuff. I got an online course that's doing well. Like, that allows you that freedom to be like, I don't need the money today. Right. And honestly, I never need the money. It's just good for me to have consistent money, because my things that I do entrepreneurially are up and down. It fluctuates. But you allow me to have a consistent 2-week paycheck, and I appreciate you for that. Right? Because what this gives you is because what you got to understand is your work, your skill, your knowledge is a resource to your company. Not the other way around, right? The company needs you. Like, literally, when they say I need you, they're not lying. They need you to work, or their company falls apart. And so, in understanding that, you gotta go to their company and get something from them. And that might be a 2-week paycheck. That might be connections to other people in the industry. That might be things that build your resume, right? Like, sometimes as an entrepreneur, people respect your entrepreneurship more if you've worked in the industry as an employee. Like, that stuff, like, if I am, like, a perfect example, education, I keep coming back to it because I do a lot in education. But like, if I'm a teacher, if I say, hey, I taught 30 years, here's a curriculum that I've designed, right? It carries more weight because someone says, well, this is a person who's been in my shoes. They've had to wake up early and come to work. They've had to stay late and grade papers. They understand what I'm looking for in a curriculum. I trust them to create it. Okay, I can buy that from you. And so now, as an entrepreneur who's in the curriculum business, you have more credibility because you were in a 9 to 5, right? So you use your 9 to 5 to build your credibility. So as an entrepreneur, you're able to be successful. Come on now, I'm trying to teach you I'm trying to learn you something. If you listen, you're going to learn something. I'm telling you, I'm going to learn you. All right? And so that's what I'm talking about right now. And so, in closing, I'm not going to keep you long. This has been great. I hope you all have enjoyed it. I hope to do some more like this. This is quarantine inspired. None of my guests can come to my house right now. We are under complete lockdown in my dorms where I work and live. So I can't get nobody to come in. So it'll be me and you for the time being, which is fine with me. I'm fine. You're fine. Let's kick it. I might do some Zoom stuff. We'll see. I might travel and record because I can go to people's houses. They just can't come to my house. All right, you don't care about that. But I'm wrapping up. I love you all. And honestly, I want to reiterate, I'm not knocking what you're doing. I'm just trying to give you some tools so that you could do more. I'm trying to give you some tools so that you could do things that you want to do while doing the things you have to do, right? We weren't created to just work and die, work, retire. That's not how God created us. We were created to work and enjoy the life that we get from our work. God said life and life and more abundantly. And that doesn't promise prosperity. in a sense, but what it does promise is that you can live life to its fullest, the ups and the downs, you experiencing them in HD, right? And entrepreneurship, freedom from a 9 to 5 is something that allows you to experience those things in abundance, right? And so I want you to recognize I got my Rock Chalk shirt on, Rock Chalk hat on. KU is the men's national champ, #1 in AP poll. We don't need March Madness. That's for people who didn't do their work in the regular season. We did our work, and we're #1. So we're the reigning national champions. If you don't like it, talk to Corona. All right. I love y'all. Remember, if you like it, hit thumbs up. If you love it, hit subscribe. Turn your notification bells on, and leave a comment. Leave me an idea that you might have. All right, in the comments, because I want to know what are you doing already. Some of y'all already entrepreneurs. What kind of businesses do y'all have, so I can support them, so other people can see them in the comments and come buy some merch, come buy some products from you, right? Come pay for your online courses, right? That I want to foster entrepreneurship on this podcast, and I love you all. Thank you all for joining with me. It's been cool. I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time. I hope you have too. I'll see you next week. Peace.